I'm not streaming yet. Calm down. Thank you so much, guys. I'm getting stuff ready because there's somewhat of a reveal. It's happening. Shh. Also, I changed my goal. No, you can't make me. No one can make me. I will never accept love. No. Okay, hold on. Let me come back. Boom. There it is. Hi, guys. Hello. Hello. Okay. Listen. First of all, you're all nuts. Thank you so much. I don't handle hype trains well at all, especially hype trains that happen when I'm behind the scenes, getting stuff ready, you know, picking up my book, getting my bookmark, realizing I bookmarked the wrong page, you know, doing lots of stuff. But thank you so much. Oh my god, like the hype train is mad. Schoolie, I thank you so much. Mythical Turian, Kethra, guys, you're so amazing. Thank you so much for all of your support. Now, guys, look. Let's go through a couple things. First of all, today's a reading stream. We read. That's kind of what we do. It's a hangout stream as well, so you know you guys get a chance to chat with me, say hi, do some stuff. DM Stretch just popping in to say hi and thanks. You have to mod a stream now, but have fun. No worries, dude. It's so good to see you, and I hope that you have fun on your stream as well. Tell us where you are, so that if you're still streaming at the end of my read, I'll come right in. I don't mind. Like, yeah, we'll do that. Now listen. You have to entertain yourselves while you're doing things. Okay. So, first of all, where am I at? Yes, donation goals. So, as you guys know, that's now a lie. So, all the donations that I've been gathering on my channel have been about getting me to America, doing my cosplay, all this sort of stuff. That goal has a pause on it. It's got a pause on it. Okay, we are working on that. It's amazing. We've done some awesome stuff. We're not quite at the full LARP cost yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We're just shy about maybe $1.50 now, maybe a little bit over, but you know, it's pocket change at that point, right? But there's some cool stuff. There's some cool stuff, including potential fire juggling. So you know, like when I say we're like working on some cool stuff, we're working on cool stuff. Now, there is a new goal, and let me explain this. This is a pathetic goal. This is my pathetic goal, and I want to explain why it's my pathetic goal. You see, I am a weak human being. I'm a very weak human being. And I was on Twitter today when I got home from the surprise that I need to show you guys, which, you know, it's still coming. I haven't shown you the surprise yet, right? And I saw this, and I immediately went, I must have it. And I didn't know how else to go about it. I'm ashamed that I'm now asking my community to help me afford it because, again, everything's gone towards everything that I've gathered has gone towards the U.S. trip, right? Everything. I mean everything. Like I'm paying rent and go to America. That's it. But then they had the audacity. They had the audacity to put this in front of me because I'm a weak man. I'm not a strong man, you know, I'm a confident man. I'm a liar, you know, because, I mean, I lie to kids, it's my job, right, doing D&D. But then this came out, and look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this! Ah! Ah! My life, everyone. Do you understand? Do you understand? My life is in need of a mind flayer fighting a drow. And yes, the holy what? Exactly. But it's $300, dudes. It's insane. And you know what sucks even more? I can't justify this. I can't justify this at all. Do you know why I can't? Because I bought this game. I bought it because it was like, hey, we need money to continue us through our production. We're going to sell it early as a beta release. You can get it for super cheap, you know, a year early. Great. No worries. I'll do that. I'll help you, Larian. You're amazing. You did an awesome game. I love Divinity. And then this. Then they pulled this shit. And so I cannot justify spending $300 on a game I already own. So I'm begging, pleading, doing all the stuff from my community of all places to try and afford this. It comes with so many cool things, right? It not only does it come with a copy of Baldur's Gate, which, you know what, to be perfectly honest, if I do end up buying this, I might just raffle it away. You know what I mean? Like, I might raffle the code just because, like, I got the game, right? So, I digress. It comes with the game, comes with this statue, comes with an art book, comes with a D20, comes with a whole bunch of stickers of the characters of the game, some D&D character sheets, a tiny little tadpole keychain, and one of the sickest looking boxes I've ever bloody seen. I want to do it. I want to do it, but I can't afford it, so I'm going to be working on it. Mythical, you're bloody legend. Every single cent counts, and that has started me on my journey. I will remember the first donation, the second donation, all the way through to the last. Thank you so much, Myth. It's really, really do appreciate it. I so appreciate it. You have no idea. But yes, as I like to say, I am a weak man. I am. I very much am. So thank you for funding my addiction. I wish I could say that this had a noble cause, like, you know, this is supporting my life. This is supporting things. No, you're feeding my habit. You're enabling me at this point. So I wanted to be clear. All transparency on DAG's channel at all times. And speaking of transparency, here's the big reveal. You guys ready? You guys ready for the big reveal? Okay, check it out. I went out today and I was out with my missus and I went to go see some friends, did some cool stuff. And one of the cool things we did, I don't know if you guys can check it out. Boom! Look at that. I now have a glorious streak of, where is it? I can't even see it. Hold on, come back here, you. Well, I mean, you guys can see it. I can't see it. Yeah, maybe if I do it this side. No? Where have I gone? Oh, don't tell me it doesn't show up on stream. No! There we go. Well, okay, well, you guys can see it. I can't. There, boom. Deadose the Gamer has a red streak. I do hope you guys like it. I quite love it. But I feel like it's been eaten. There we go. It's kind of there. Hold on. Maybe I just need to rush it off a bit. There we go. Ah, there it is. Boom. There it is. Jeez. Okay, yeah. Maybe it's just how I was wearing my hair a second ago. But look at that. There we go. Maybe I'll have this stream. I'll just have my hair out. Yeah, I don't know where it went just then. Just disappeared. Neat. Didn't even know hair did that. But apparently it does. But yeah, so I now have a red streak in my hair. Boom. Been streaking on stream. Oh, amazing. Yes, I have it. Because I'm a naughty DAG. There he is. Yeah, there it is. Look at that. Boom. Yeah, I think that looks really cool. I think it came out super nice, too. Yeah, look at that. There it is. Boom. See? Ready for Christmas. Yes, I am. I'm so ready for Christmas. I'm on the hot streak. Yeah. Thank you. All right. No, I'm super happy with it. I think it looks really great. And yeah, I mean, look, red's my color. It always has been. So I didn't figure out a way to style it properly and things like that. But, you know, this is the thing. Yeah. Schooly Eye, thank you so much for the $20 tip. And Hester for the $5 tip. You guys, again, so freaking amazing. Thank you so much for your support in my quest. My quest for the collector's edition of Baldur's Gate 3 because I'm addicted to Baldur's Gate. I think it's amazing and it's a lot of fun. And I'm gonna get I swear I'm gonna try and get a Mind Flayer. Even if I don't get the full amount, you know, like I'm definitely gonna be trying to make that happen. All right. Now, for those of you who don't know what we're doing today we are gonna be reading through Emily Rodda's The Rowan of Rin series. There are, what, 5 books? 6 books? Something like that? Let's have a look. No, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books. And we are on to book 3, Rowan and the Keeper of the Crystal. We will do a recap, but I just wanted to show you guys this again real quick, in case you weren't here for, like, the first episode, right? This is the map of the village of Rin and Rin Beyond. So Rin, obviously, the little town here. We've got, like, the mountains, which are over here. And then if you continue, like, you know, which we know is, like, a few weeks journey, you eventually end up in the city of Maris, or the town of Maris, which is filled by the Maris people, who are kind of like aquatic amphibious fish people. And this is I think this is the land of the Zebak. So this is where the baddies are. The Zebak. Yeah. So yeah, the map's there. It's very cool. Also, if you look really closely, you can see off the coast of Maris is the tiny island that is where the keeper is chosen for the keeper of the crystal. There you go. Be fun to recreate these maps in Incarnate. Yeah, I think it would be. I think it'd be fun to create them in anything, really. Wonder Draft, Incarnate. Even doing some fun, cool hand drawings might be fun. All right. So where were we looking at? So let's do a recap. So the village of Rin was founded many years ago by ex-slaves who had managed to liberate themselves from the dreaded Zebak. Now, they didn't do this alone. They didn't do this alone. They were aided by the travelers, who are wandering nomads that travel around the continent that they're on, and the Maris people, who are the ocean-faring tribes that reside on the coast. Now, the story is of Rowan, a member of this village, who is kind of like the shyest, the smallest, probably the most frail of all of them, going on these epic heroic adventures. Now, Rowan, his first journey came to the mountain when the water that would otherwise, not only supply the town, but also the noble yak-like creatures known as Booksha, water from the mountains were the only water that these Booksha would drink, and the Booksha were like their source of life. It was milk, it was cheese, it was meat, it was clothes, it was everything. So if the Booksha died, the people of Rin died. So 7 climbed up this mountain, 7 of the strongest warriors, or should I say, 6 of the strongest warriors, and Rowan. The reason being is the old witch named Sheba prophesized that Rowan would go on their journey, and lo and behold, she provided them with a map that would only be revealed by Rowan for their journey ahead. 7 hearts the journey make, 7 ways the heart will break. That is the poem that Sheba said, and one by one, all of these people were defeated by the mountain and the threats that they had to face, until Rowan alone faced off against a dragon atop the mountain, managing to defeat the dragon, or at least best it in some way. They managed to restore water to the city, to the town of Rin, and Rowan was proclaimed a hero. Now, this was only the first of Rowan's journeys. The second came at the hands of the Travelers, a group of nomadic individuals who were led by these storytellers, kind of like nomadic people who are who share tales and consider Rin very, very firm allies. Now, the people of Rin, because of their upbringing and where they came from, they were a little bit more. Come now, please, Flo. Well, Flo, you have 3 seconds to prove to me that you are not a robot. And if you can't, then I'm going to kick you to the curb and feed you to my tiny dragon. All right. So anyway. So yes, the Travelers are a storytelling people. But the people of Rin, they were by nature very distrusting. They're very stoic people, very much, like they're in for themselves. And upon returning from the mountain, they found these berries that they started to grow in the town. But they didn't want the Travelers to know about it, because if the Travelers knew, then everyone knew about it, and they couldn't use it as a commodity for themselves. This created tension between the Travelers and the people of Rin, and when the people of Rin fell under a sleeping sickness, it was actually the people fell under a sleeping sickness. It was the Travelers who were inevitably blamed for this. All right, well, I'm terribly sorry, but you, my dear, are out of here! Yum, 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 yum. Goodbye, farewell, goodbyes, tasty sacrifice. My dragon thanks you for your tasty meats. Okay. So anyway, so Rowan, who was one of the people left standing, along with Alan, who is a half person of Rin, half traveler, went to go and confront them, only to learn that they had nothing to do with it. In fact, they were heading towards the pit of in order to try, the pit of Unrin, in order to try and uncover something from their legends, and they did, which incidentally was the fact that the berries that they had brought from the mountain were not berries at all, but a type of species of monster that puts people to sleep, and then when the tree fully grows and matures, devours the sleeping prey as fertilizer, which was mental. So they went back to the city. They managed to defeat the plant creatures and stuff like that. And yet again, Rowan had managed to, with the aid of the travelers, save the town of Rin. The newest threat comes a little bit differently. It's not so much a threat to Rin, but a means of trying to keep Rin safe from the Zebak. Now, the Maris people on the coast are a warring people. They kind of have conflicts here and there between 3 different tribes. The tribe of Pendalis, the tribe of... the tribe of Pendalis, of... I know these. One begins with W. Sorry, one begins with U. Okay. Pendalis. Umbre. And... Pendalis, Umbre, and Fisk. That's it. Boom. So, these three clans within the Maris people fight for the right to become the Keeper of the Crystal. The crystal is a massive power source that helps them protect the coast, but only one member of any of these clans may rise to that honor. Now, traditionally, there was a 4th clan who used to be the choosers that would decide who the Keeper of the Crystal would be, but the Zebak had killed them in their last invasion. So now, the duty falls upon one of the slaves, or at least the descendants of that slaves, who would fill in that role with the absence of the missing clan. And of course, the descendant of that person, as you probably have guessed, is of course Rowan and his mother Jiller. So they have now had to travel from Rin all the way to the Maris people in order to try and choose a new leader. However, the Maris people are a suspicious group, and they, where the travelers had curiosity and cunning, and the people of Rin valued strength and endurance, the Maris people are cunning and guileful, meaning that many of them would do whatever it takes to ensure their candidate's success. And, well, recently, Rowan's mother had taken ill and has become poisoned, leaving Rowan the new chooser as we enter this. Now, Rowan has recently met the candidates who have joined. I don't think they've been named so far. I think they're just simply the tall man of the Umbre, who wears silver, the woman of the Fisk, who wears green, and the man of Pendalis, who wears blue. Now, because there's so many characters, I will get their voices wrong from last week, but, you know, we'll keep it going. So Rowan's learned that his mother's been poisoned. She's still alive, but he wants to go see her. However, upon arriving at the island in which she was being kept, he has been summoned down a flight of stairs reserved only for the Keeper and the Chooser. And this is now where he is going to meet, for the first time, the now dying Keeper of the Crystal of the Maris people. And that's where we're going to start today. All right. Again, if you guys have any questions about the story, characters, etc., 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 leave them in chat. You know, and if you have anything you want to talk about as well during our mid-chapter breaks, or chapter break, should I say, let me know as well. We'll talk. We'll do stuff. We'll do lunch. You know. Okay. Chapter 7: The Keeper. The stairs wound down. Rowan lost count of them. He realized that he was under the earth, under the sea. A soft blue-green glow lit his way. The walls on either side of him were stone, and he stepped, and the steps themselves were stone, hard and cold under his feet. There was the sound of dripping water and the smell of salt and sea plants. With every step he took, the more his feelings grew that something was drawing him in. His legs seemed to be moving without willing it. It was as though he was being pulled downwards through the water by some invisible net. Fear rose in him, overwhelming every other feeling, every thought. He shivered and gripped the railing till his knuckles turned white. He wanted to sink down into the cold stone. He wanted to claw his way back up to the surface, but yet still he moved down. Down. Do not be afraid. It is the crystal's power you feel. It will not harm you, and your mother is here with me. The voice filled his mind, lapping over his fear, washing it away, leaving sorrow and shame in its place. Mother, Rowan thought. Mother is here. How could I have forgotten? How could I have hesitated, even for a minute? Now his fear seemed like madness, holding tightly to the railing to stop himself from stumbling as he moved on. The blue-green light grew bigger. The sound of dripping water grew louder. At last he saw that he was nearly at the bottom of the stairs. Ahead there was a wall of shining rock, and cut into it was an archway, curtained by falling drops of water that glittered like tiny crystals in the light that flooded from the cavern below. We are here. Rowan no longer needed the voice to lead him. He could feel the power of the crystal beaming out from the cavern as strongly as the light. He stepped from the stairs and in 2 strides had plunged through the watery veil. Chilly, salty droplets pattered softly on his face, filled his eyes and clung to his hair. Then he felt sand beneath his feet. He looked up. Through the blur, he saw a gleaming rock, walls with running water and light. Again, welcome, chooser of Rin. This time the voice had spoken aloud, whispering in a husky ancient. Now it tells me it's husky? Fine. Whispering husky, ancient. It echoed from the dripping walls over and over again, through every corner of the cavern. It seemed to fill with sound. There was no way of telling where the speaker was. Rowan rubbed at his eyes and looked wildly around. Blue-green light flooded this space, so that the air was like a deep, clear water lit up by the sun. The source of the light was somewhere in the center of the room, but Rowan didn't even glance at it, for to one side, on a couch draped with silken cloth, was Jilla. He ran to her, dropped onto his knees beside the couch. She was very still. Her eyes were closed. Her hands were cool. But when he put his face close to hers, he could feel her soft breath. It was as though she was simply asleep. She sleeps. She dreams. And with every dream, she slips further from the shore of life. Mother, he whispered. Mother, it's me. It's Rowan. Drops of water from his face fell on her hair and cheek. He brushed them away. The pale lips slowly curved into a faint smile. Rowan's heart thumped. She could hear him. He gripped her hand tightly. Mother, wake up, he begged. You must fight the dreams. Fight the poison. You're strong. You must not die. You must live. For Anad. For John. For me. A tiny line appeared between Jilla's eyebrow and her eyelids flickered. Do not disturb her peace, Rowan, whispered a voice. She cannot wake. Say your farewell and allow her to rest. You are the chooser now. Rowan spun around. But the words of anger he had thought about uttering died upon his lips when he met the eyes of the being who had spoken. The keeper of the crystal was sitting motionless in the center of the room, bathed in light. She did not look old as the people of Rin looked old. She was not wrinkled like Lan, but Rowan knew at once he had never seen a living creature so ancient. She seemed almost transparent. She was so faded, so thin and shrunken, and her delicate skin was so fine and pale that it was difficult to see her clearly against the background of her chair. And her eyes, They were huge in her tiny face. They seemed to speak of the wisdom and knowledge of the ages. Above all, a terrible yearning for rest. Such things I have seen, the eyes seemed to say. Such things I have known, but now I am tired, so tired. Her tiny hands, the webs between her fingers almost transparent, spread lovingly over the source of light, a huge glowing crystal which she held on her lap. Now she bent slowly towards it, the light flooding her face, and she shut her eyes as if basking in its warmth. "The candidates are waiting for you, Rowan of Rin," she said. "The choosing must go on without delay. My time draws near." Rowan felt himself begin to shiver all over. "One of the candidates gave my mother poison," he said. "It may be," answered the keeper. "Which one?" "I cannot tell. The crystal is dim, and I no longer see as far as the island. I cannot read the thoughts of those trained to veil their minds, as the candidates have been from earliest childhood. The poison is an ancient mineral brew called death sleep. It has not been seen in Maris for centuries. It kills slowly but surely. That is all I can tell you." The Mirror, experts in poison. Suddenly Rowan was back in Rin, under the teaching tree, listening to Timon's tales of the clans of the Maris. The Mirror, experts in poison. And for every poison, the whispering voice went on, breaking into his memory. "Rowan, attend to me. Time is short. You must continue the choosing." How can I? How can I continue?" Rowan demanded. "How can I, knowing that one of the candidates is a murderer, while my mother lies here slipping away from life?" "You can, because you must, as your ancestors have done before," says the keeper. "And the Mirror Chooser before them, and so it has always been." She hunched over the crystal, waiting. "Just because a thing has always been, that does not mean it must always be." The words burst from Rowan before he thought about them. The keeper breathed a long sigh. She opened her eyes. Rowan glanced behind him, at his mother lying on the couch. He knew what she would say to this. She would urge him to be strong, to accept the pain and to do his duty, as her grandmother did, as she would have done, as the people of their family had done for centuries. "Yes," said the keeper as he turned back to face her. "You must be strong." She had read his mind. Rowan looked straight into her face. "I will be strong, Keeper of the Maris. I will be strong in my own way." In the keeper's eyes he thought he saw a spark, like an ember flaring suddenly in a dying fire. Perhaps it was anger. Perhaps it was surprise. Or something else. It was impossible to tell. No movement disturbed the smoothness of her face. "There must be an antidote for the death sleep," Rowan said. She shook her head. "Nothing can be done." She bent her head to the crystal once more. Rowan clenched his fist. She was lying to him. He knew it. Again he remembered Timon's words. "The Mirror, experts in poison, 1,001 deadly poison, and for each and every poison, an antidote." For every problem, a solution. For every poison, an antidote. But there was no way he could make the keeper tell what she must know. Her mind was fixed on the choosing, on the need for haste. She was not willing to spend precious time searching for a cure for Jilla. Old and wise, and rich in knowledge she might be, but she was still a Maris. The death of one is of no account. Helene had gasped in the Rin's village square. It was the Maris way. But old Lan had answered back. This is your belief, but not ours. Not ours, Rowan said under his breath. The crystal glowed. Somewhere, beyond the cavern, he had heard a grating sound as a door sliding open. I have summoned the candidates, said the keeper. She raised herself from the crystal and leant back in her chair. Again the crystal glowed. Still, the keeper's face did not change, yet Rowan had the feeling that her mind was fixed on something outside the room. Your friend, John of the Orchard, approaches, she says, but I must deny him entry to the cavern. John is full of sorrow and anger. He wishes to avenge your mother's death. My mother is not dead, said Rowan loudly, his voice echoing. Not dead, not dead. Gonna sneeze. Ah! Okay. Am I? Maybe? 1 second. Ah! God damn it. It's right there. Hold on. Okay. Grapefruit. Why would I say grapefruit? Does it help? Grapefruit. Grapefruit, grapefruit, grapefruit. Grapefruit! Yes, that's right. Good for muscles. Grapefruit. Okay. No, that didn't help. Oh. It's like just lodged in there. Alright, that's fine. It's fine. I'll sneeze at some point. Sneeze goes away if you say grapefruit. Oh, maybe. Well, it's not there, but it feels like it's right here. I feel like it's there. At some point, if I sneeze, I'll try not to like aim it at the camera and not just. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, here we go. Where was I? Yada yada. Okay. My mother is not dead, said Rowan loudly. His voice echoed. Not dead. Not dead. On the silk-covered couch, Jilla stirred. There was a sound from the back of the room. Enter, said the keeper. 3 figures stood framed in the doorway. One wore silver, one wore blue, and one wore green. Rowan stared at them. He expected the candidate to be at least as old as his mother, or John, but these people were much younger. For a moment, this surprised him. Then he remembered the crystal brought with it the knowledge and memory of 1,000 years of Maris history. Age and experience of life were not important qualities of the candidates, just tests of brain power set down by Orin the Wise, for which they had studied all their lives. Intelligence was important, determination was important, and a will to win is important, thought Rowan savagely. And it seems a murderous heart. He went on watching the figures by the door. His mind was cold with loathing. One of you had a reason to cheat my mother's life, he thought. And you think you have succeeded, but somehow I'm going to defeat you. And no one, not even the keeper, is going to stop me. End of chapter 7. Okay. Some tension there between Rowan and the keeper. We'll take a quick moment to grab a beverage and a drink, because I forgot to bring one when I came in. Mostly because people would start a hype train. But yeah, let us know if you have any questions. What do you think? What do you think about this chapter? How do you feel about the keeper? Who do you think did it? Who do you think poisoned Jiller? Because that I think is a pretty up there question as well, right? Like, who actually did it? I mean, it'd be a massive twist if it was like John or something, right? That'd be kind of like, whoa. Let me know. Okay, I'm gonna go grab a drink. I'll be right back. Leave your questions and your conversation pieces, and I will come back to them. Okay. I bet I'll sneeze as I'm leaving. Bet you this will happen. I've come with beverage. I also have a chestnut. Chestnuts are delicious. The keeper. Okay, so the keeper is kind of like the leader of the Maris people, who are like a aquatic race of coastal dwelling amphibians. There were 4 tribes of the Maris, and the keeper is a candidate chosen from all 3. Well, one person from the 3 who talks to the crystal, communicates with it, learns all the wisdom of the previous leaders, and then serves as the leader to keep the peace and make sure the Maris, you know, are doing well for their own society. That is who the keeper is, Evil Hawk. My first thought was the keeper did it. Oh, sorry, you were suggesting who did it. Oh, the keeper. Oh. But why? Why would the keeper do it? Maybe the keeper is wise. Maybe the keeper was like, it has to be Rowan. That's a good thought. Someone not the candidate? Like the messenger? Could be. Mother learned something dangerous. Ooh, maybe. What about the Z-back? What if it was a Z-back? That'd be a whole thing. Also, Evil Hawk, nice to talk to you, I think, because it's showing you're a first-time chatter. Welcome. Mother learned something dangerous. Oh, yeah. But what though, you know? Like, maybe the crystal's busted. Maybe the crystal's busted. And maybe this was the path that needs to happen to, like, restore it. Like, maybe Jilla needs to die. And that's part of the ritual that they don't tell the people of Rin, maybe. All of the things. I'm so invested. Mother was hesitating too much. Couldn't make a choice. Perhaps the mother was going to pick someone the keeper didn't approve. Or maybe the mother found none of them to be appropriate. That'd be kind of a twist. Or maybe the mother said Rowan. Could you imagine? Rowan shall be the keeper. Okay. That could be it. That could be it. Oh. I'm tantalized. Chapter 8 is on the candidates. Let's say we meet these candidates and see if we can figure out anything more. But I think right now the winning vote is the keeper may have done it. All right. Maybe the chooser and the new keeper have to be of the same generation, so mum has to die to make sure the right generation chooses. Ooh, that's a good point. Maybe. So many unknowns, man. What if it was the mother's secret love child? Yeah, maybe. Jiller, yeah, Rowan's stepbrother or stepsister. Maybe it was the crystal. I mean, because the keeper was going transparent, right? Like a crystal. Maybe the keeper is the crystal. Could that be a thing? Is that a thing? Yeah, some good ones. Some good questions there. All right. Chapter 8, the candidates. Asha of Umbre, said the keeper. The silver-clad figure stepped forward and bowed. She was tall for a Maris, and looked down at Rowan, meeting his gaze without flinching. I greet you, chooser of Rin, she said in a level voice. The fate of the Maris is in your hands. Are you the one? Thought Rowan, staring deep into her steady pale grey eyes. Could you look at me like this if you had poisoned my mother, Asha? Perhaps you could, for the Umbre are skilled at deceiving, I'm told, slippery like eels coiled in the river slime. Did you find my strong, practical mother difficult to twine around your finger? Did you think it would be easy to impress a younger, more timid chooser? A boy like me? Seaborn of the Fisk. The green figure bowed and repeated Ash's words. I greet you, chooser of Rin. The fate of the Maris is in your hands. He was even taller than she was, and looked stronger. He stood straight and held his arms rigidly by his side, but he spoke softly, and as he spoke, his eyes kept drifting to the still figure on the couch and back to the keeper's chair. Is it you who is guilty, Seaborn of the Fisk? Thought Rowan. Is that why you cannot look at me? Was it you who slipped the poison into the chooser's food or drink, thinking that as a woman she might favor the girl Asher instead of you? Or do your eyes slide away from mine because you're disappointed, brave, strong Fisk? Did you think my mother was going to choose you? Are you sorry now that you must face me in her place? Dos of Pendalis, said the keeper. The blue figure stepped forward and again bowed, and the words repeated again. I greet you, chooser of Rin. The fate of the Maris is in your hands. Dos was younger than the other candidates, slighter and smaller too. His eyes seemed darker, deeper, and more mysterious. A memory floated into Rowan's mind. Pelaine looking at him curiously. Pelaine was the messenger who brought them the message that the keeper was dying. Pelaine's words. Your eyes have the look of someone who has seen the great serpent and lived, deep and full of knowledge. Strange in a boy so young. I have known only one other. Are you Pelaine's other, Dos? Thought Rowan. You are of the Pendalis clan like him. Did Pelaine see in me something that reminded him of you? Did others see it? Others in your clan? Did they tell you? Did they think that I would feel closer to you than my mother would? That I would be more likely to choose you? Is that why? The chooser is ready, candidates, said the keeper. He has only to join with the crystal in place of his mother. Then you can return to the island. The choosing can once again begin. The three bowed their heads. Join with the crystal, thought Rowan. What does that mean? Could this be my chance? He felt a small flutter of fearful hope. I tell you all, the keeper warned, if anything should happen to this boy, as happened to his mother, there will be no time to begin the choosing for a third time. She twisted her chair around to face them. The crystal dims, she croaked, looking at them one by one. Soon I shall die, and if no new keeper stands beside me at my death to take the crystal's knowledge from me and renew its power, the crystal too will die. Then the Maris clans will be divided once more, and with the crystal dimmed forever, there will be no protection when the Zebak come again to our shores, as certainly they will. For us, and for this land, all will be lost. Lost, lost, whispered the echoes. The candidates lifted their heads and stood in silence. Now, give me your hand, chooser of Rin, said the keeper. Rowan hesitated. His heart was hammering in his chest. He forced himself to be calm. Please explain to me why I must do this, he said quietly. Again, something flickered in the keeper's eyes. Anger? Thought Rowan. Amusement? The crystal must know you through me, she said. Once this has happened, it will recognize you as the only chooser. Please hurry. John of the Orchard is very near. I would have this finished before he arrives demanding entry. Rowan stepped forward. With his whole being, he concentrated, hiding his thoughts, waiting for the moment. I will be strong in my own way. He stretched out his hand. The keeper's webbed fingers touched his, soft, cool, damp. Rowan felt a tingling running up his arm. Now, he thought. He shut his eyes and gripped his fingers tightly. Then he toppled, fell plunging into the deep, deep water of the Keeper's mind, the Keeper's memory. Pictures, beauty, light, waves curling, blue-green breaking into hissing white foam on golden sand, a child laughing, free, ducking, diving, playing with friends long ago. Study, teacher advising, candles burning far into the night, the crystal, bright as the sun, beckoning, a world shrunk into a cavern beneath the earth. Panicking, Rowan struggled, falling deeper into the old minds, older memories, ancient seas, twisting, hunting, hidden, glinting in the water. The great serpent towering above me, fangs dripping poison. Poison. Rowan caught the word and held onto it like a lifeline. He shut out the swirling pictures, made his own pictures. Jilla, my mother, poisoned, lying so still, dreaming while her life slips away. He fixed his mind on the picture and the words, death, sleep. Tell me, he demanded. Tell me, Keeper. The crystal dims. I am so tired. There is no time. Tell me! And then suddenly something gave way, and the answer was there, right before his eyes. He saw a jar, held in a small webbed hand. The jar was half filled with silvery liquid. As Rowan watched, the liquid changed color, becoming as blue as the sky. The blue changing to green, then changing yet again, losing all color, becoming crystal clear, and then a voice spoke. To mix the brew that wakes death sleep, fill one spread hand with silver deep. In hungry pools raise their heads, pluck one and tears it shed. Stir slowly with the new fighter's quill, 3 times, no more, and let it still. Add venom from your greatest fear, or just 1 drop, and then the truth is clear. With a gasp of triumph, Rowan broke free. He staggered back from the Keeper's chair, his mind spinning, his hands were burning. Slowly, he opened his eyes. He saw darkness, shot with darks and swirls of color, and then at last his sight cleared. The Keeper was slumped in the back of her chair. Her eyes were closed. Crystal pulsed dimly in her limp hand. Behind the chair stood Asher, Seaborn, and Doss, staring at him as though he were some demon from the deep. "What have you done?" breathed Seaborn. "What I had to," said Rowan. The words sounded strong, but he was not feeling strong at all. His legs wobbled like a newborn Bookshire calf. The hand which he had gripped the Keeper's fingers still throbbed and burned. The Keeper's eyelids fluttered open. "Keeper," Asher began, but the ancient woman didn't even glance at her. Her whole attention was fixed on Rowan. "What do you want?" she asked bluntly. Rowan did not have the chance to answer, for in that moment was the sound of thudding feet on stone steps, and strong John burst through the curtain of dripping water into the cavern. He looked around rapidly, taking in everything in a single glance, then strode to Jilla's side and bent over her. He gathered her in his arms, lifting her to his chest and calling her name, but she did not stir. He turned to Rowan with grim face. "She spoke of danger, but I didn't really believe," he said. "I thought, no, not Jilla. Nothing could happen to Jilla, Rowan." "It'll be all right, John," Rowan said quietly. "There is an antidote for the poison Mother has been given. The Keeper has just shown it to me." There was a gasp from behind the Keeper's chair. Rowan looked up quickly. Asher, Seaborn, Doss, he couldn't tell. "I will not let Mother die," he said. He was telling himself as much as everyone in the room, as well as John. "The choosing must continue," said the Keeper urgently, and Rowan turned to face her. "No," he said. He heard his own voice shaking as the words echoed around the cavern wall. "I am sorry, but the choosing must wait." He felt John's eyes fixed on him. He knew that Asher, Seaborn, and Doss were staring too, but he could only see the Keeper. I know that time is short, he says, but before anything else can be done, my mother must have the antidote to death sleep. You must give it to me, Keeper, or tell me where I can find it. I must help my mother. Nothing is more important than that. End of chapter 8. All right. We have an antidote. Well, at least we have a suspected antidote. That's really cool. What if the current Keeper and Chooser's souls are needed as part of the transition? Ooh, maybe. Maybe it's like a vampire thing. Maybe it needs to eat all the candidates and the Chooser. Maybe. I mean, who knows? But, to mix the brew that wakes death's sleep, fill one spread hand with silver deep. In hungry pools, moon raise their heads. Pluck one and add the tear it sheds. Stir slowly with a new fighter's quill, 3 times no more, and let it still. Add venom from your greatest fear, 1 drop, and then the truth is clear. Okay, so I think straight up, the last answer is definitely going to be the great serpent they keep prattling on about. Has to be, right? New fighter's quill. Don't know what that is. Hungry pools. Piranha, maybe? Hungry pool. Silver deep. Silver deep. What is silver deep? Like mercury? That'd be metal. Get a fistful of mercury. Yeah, put it in the bowl. Stir it. I don't know, maybe. Quite creepy. Yeah, no, totally. Well, I'm quite proud of Rowan for standing up to these nonsensical people. He's also risking the safety of Rin by not choosing, because the people are the first line of defense for the rest of them. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Rowan is taking a massive risk here. But you know what? Like, I think that's the nature of heroes, right? Like, if you consider, like, what it means to be a hero, a hero is someone who doesn't do the easy thing. He does the right thing. Because I'd say firefighters and police officers, stuff like that, their duty is to protect people and stuff like that. And I think that's noble. I think it's amazing. I think it's wonderful. And it's super important. But hero, for me, are people who make those tough choices, you know? Like, a firefighter can be a hero, but being a firefighter doesn't make you a hero. When you're confronted with a fire and saving someone's life puts your own at risk, the actual rules of being a firefighter is that you do not put yourself in that position, because you do not sacrifice yourself for someone else. Which goes into the people who do that, who do put their lives on the line like that. Those people, for me, that's what makes being a hero. In this case, saving Jiller is selfish, I guess, because ultimately it's one life against the many. But it is a heroic thing to do. Because what is the value of even one life? You know what I mean? That's the thing. And being a hero doesn't have to be motivated by noble intentions. That has nothing to do with it. It's the acts that you take. It's the risks and the reward. And you're a hero if you succeed. And that's the catch. You know, if you fail, you know, no one talks about, like, you know, you're a hero if you set out to go and slay the evil wizard king and then you get killed. No one calls you a hero. You're a stepping stone. You're a dead guy. You know, heroes succeed. So, I mean, is Rowan a hero? Maybe. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. Your choices make you a hero, not your professional position. Yeah, that's it. Because he's a chooser, and the chooser has a very big responsibility. Heroes are always massively flawed, and they make the hard decisions, and that makes them outcasts. Yeah, true. I mean, I wouldn't say that's true for all of them, but I definitely can see a lot of people who tend to be in that position. Like, the thing is heroes aren't everywhere. They are rare. They are outcasts in their own way, because not everyone is a hero. But I love what Colossus says in the Deadpool movie. Like, that for me is, like, beautiful. It's like, some people do sometimes think that to be hero, you must wake up hero, brush teeth like hero, eat breakfast like hero. But 4 or 5 moments in your whole life, these are the moments what make you hero. I agree with that. I think that's, I mean, it's a very paraphrased quote, but, you know, I definitely think that. I think being a hero is not about doing the heroic thing all the time. It's those 4 or 5 moments, which is ironic because there are 5 books in this series. So quite literally, we are watching Rowan go through those 5 moments. I wonder if he's an adult in the last book. Like I said, I haven't read it, so maybe. I got my Christmas straw. Also, Coca-Cola, if you want to sponsor me, seriously, you wouldn't even need to pay me. Just give me free Coke. I spend way too much money on it. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. Let me have my addiction. That and D&D. That's my addiction. Oh, my God. Michael is weak when it comes to his vices. Okay. Chapter 9. The Rhyme. And Pathfinder. That's true. You know what? Actually, I have been, I'm not gonna lie, I have been a little better with my Pathfinder stuff. And I think that's partially because the releases aren't as frequent anymore. Used to be that there were like 2 or 3 books a month released from Pathfinder. Now it's like 1 every couple of months. So it's actually been more manageable. I've had less books, but you know, it's fine. I'm talking to you guys. Oh, I love talking to you guys. You guys are my biggest vice. Because you all make me feel special. And I hope I give you guys some entertainment too. It's very important for me. I hope that you guys are doing well. And that's the thing. I think for me, sorry, I'm gonna get real quick. My truest belief, my core value, is that I genuinely wish the best for other people. I genuinely wish that you have an amazing life, that you are having an amazing time, and that if you are not, that you will have the strength within you to be able to face the challenges that are currently impeding your life, overcome it, and find yourself in a better place. I genuinely believe this for you and for everyone who attends my streams and people who don't, because I think that's just the nature of good people, that is a genuine desire for me. Happiness is our lives and the pursuit of said happiness, so long as it doesn't come at the expense of those around us. That is the important bit. True belief. Hashtag DAG. Okay. Fantastic way to wake up in the morning. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. That's an amazing thing to hear. See, now I'm all blushing. All right, let's say we crack into another chapter, shall we? Chapter 9, The Rhyme. Oh, is that actually what your stream is name? You know what? If that is actually what you name your alarm, that makes me so happy. You have no idea. My alarm just says work, but that's because all my alarms say work. Okay. You said you would be strong. Sorry, different voice. You said you would be strong, Rowan of Rin. The keeper accused him. You let me join you to the crystal, confirming you as chooser. You deceived me. I said I would be strong in my own way, said Rowan, trying desperately to sound calm and firm, while his legs trembled beneath him. You must tell me what I must do you must tell me what I must do to save my mother. It's impossible, the keeper said. She clawed at the crystal with her tiny hand, as though willing it to save her from what was happening, but it only glowed feebly. Speak to him, she ordered the candidates, but they stood silent, wondering. The keeper took a deep breath. I told you, the deep sleep has not been used in Maris since the time of the Mirror. Rowan glanced at John. He had put Jilla down and was standing beside the couch, his fist clenched. Rowan knew what he was thinking. If the poison was so rare, it shouldn't be too difficult to find out where it had come from, to find out which clan had discovered the mineral's secret and used it. But Rowan was not interested in revenge. Not now. There is an antidote, he repeated. I saw it, Keeper. A silver liquid changing to blue, then green, then becoming clear. I saw it held in Amara's hand. The Keeper's steady gaze did not waver. The hands were Orin's, she said. Orin, whispered Asher. Seaborn raised his hand to his mouth. Doss remained expressionless. Orin was making the antidote to death sleep on the island the day he found the crystal. That is what you saw in my mind, Chooser of Rin. You saw Orin's memories. The last drop of the mixture in that jar was used 500 years ago. There is no more. No more. No more. Then the mixture must be made again, said Rowan, lifting his chin. As if they were Orin's hands I saw in the words, then I heard his words also. What words, Rowan? Urged John. The three candidates leant forward. The three candidates leant forward as one, even cold Asher, even withdrawn Doss. The recipe for the antidote, said Rowan. He said the words aloud. He had no trouble remembering them. He felt as though they had been burnt into his brain. To mix the brew that wakes death sleep, fill one spread hand with silver deep. In hungry pool moon raise their heads. Pluck one and add the tears it shed. Stir slowly with a new fighter's quill. 3 times, no more, then let it still. Add venom from your greatest fear. 1 drop, and then the truth is clear. Asher snorted. What ingredients are these? Sorry, different voice. What ingredients are these? What ingredients? Seaborn. Okay. Asher. Asher. I am Asher. I am Asher, candidate of the Fisk. And I am the mighty... What is my other name? I don't know what my name is. Doss. I am Doss. I am Doss. Doss will become Russian. It's fine. Doss is Russian. I am Doss. I am Asher. And I am Seaborn. Seaborn? Yes. Seaborn. Okay, good. Okay, I got it. Asher snorted. What ingredients are these? Muttered Seaborn. Doss's eyes gleamed with interest. Orin made the secret of his recipes, he said. Yes, replied the Keeper. And his secrets are mine. She turned to Rowan. By Orin's will, I cannot tell you how to read the rhyme, she said coldly. But believe me, if I could tell you what the ingredients were, you would fail to obtain them. The antidote cannot be made. It can, said Rowan. It must. The crystal glowed. Rowan felt a tug pulling at his mind. He fought it desperately. You cannot make me do your will, Keeper, he gasped. You cannot change my mind. You are too weak. There is no time, hissed the Keeper. And what you plan is simply foolish, boy of Rin. If preparing the antidote was a simple matter, as you seem to think it is, I would already have it, and your mother would be healing now. I am not a monster. I would cure her if I could. But the antidote to death sleep is made of things rare and almost impossible to obtain. You alone could never gain them. Never. He would not be alone. Strong John broke in. I would be with him. He left Jilla's side and strode to the center of the cavern to stand beside Rowan. He towered over the Keeper. Compared to him, she seemed like a small and fragile child, but she shook her head quite unafraid. By Orin's decree, the island is forbidden to all except the Keeper, she said. And at the time of the choosing, The chooser and the candidates who must be alone. You cannot go there, John of the Orchard, on pain of death. John's mouth tightened. He turned to look at Gilla, still pale and scarcely breathing. There are things I fear more than my own death, he said. And I too, said the keeper. And one of them is breaking my trust. You cannot go to the island, John. I will prevent you. I still have power enough for that. So Rowan goes alone by your will? John's eyes were hard. He goes alone, and we wait here. And you say he cannot succeed alone, so he does not succeed. Neither does he return to choose a new keeper. So Gilla dies, and you die. And the crystal dims forever. Is that not breaking your trust also? The keeper smiled faintly. You argue well, man of Ren, but you cannot go to the island. There was silence, broken only by the soft pattering of endless falling water. Rowan saw what he must do. He needed help. He knew where he must take it. There was no choice. He looked at the three figures still standing behind the keeper's chair, masking the distrust and fear in his eyes. He spoke to them directly for the first time. Asher of the Umbre, Seaborn of Fisk, Dos of Pendalis. The island is not forbidden to you. Will you help me? He had thought they would agree readily. After all, he was the chooser. They would want to impress and please him. Each would want to convince him that they had not been the one to poison his mother. But they hesitated. Their eyes fixed upon the keeper. They would not help him against her will. She sat, motionless, bent over the crystal. And finally, she nodded. Very well, she said, her voice flat, expressionless. What must be, must be. But I warn you, at sunrise my life will end, and the crystal will die with me. If the choosing is not complete by then, I will return in time to finish the choosing, whispered Rowan. I promise. No doubt you mean what you say, said the keeper. You will return, if it is within your power. But the course you have decided to take is a dangerous one, chooser. Dangerous for you, and for Maris, and for the whole of this land. Even now, perhaps, the Zebak ships speed towards our shore. They will have word of the dimming of the crystal. They have spies everywhere. There is always a danger at the time of choosing, said Rowan, through lips that seemed to have suddenly dried and stiffened. The keeper looked at her hands, her web transparent in the crystal light, but only once before has the power of the crystal been in such danger. Once before, 300 years ago, when Miril perished, and your ancestor, Leith, accepted for your people the burden of the choosing, and let the crystal live for the good of all. She raised her eyes. You look very much like Leith, Rowan of Rin, she said. Very, very like. 'Tis strange to think that, as he saved the crystal's power, you may be the one who destroys it. Rowan went cold. He glanced at John, who was watching him gravely. Just for a moment, his determination weakened. Then he looked at his mother, and he knew he was right. Seaborn had been fidgeting restlessly. Let us go, he urged. Already the sun is on its downward path west. We should take advantage of the light. Rowan turned to John. Will you see the star while I'm gone? He asked. John nodded. Then he dug in his pockets and brought out a soft leather pouch. He tipped what it contained into his hands. It was a small, shining glass jar, with a gleaming silver top shaped like a flying fish skimming the waves. "This was for Jilla," he said. "I had just bought it at the market when Pelaine ran into me with the news of her illness. Let me try that again. I had just bought it at the marketplace when Pelaine ran into me with news of her illness. I thought it beautiful, and therefore fit for her. Take it now, Rowan, and fill it with what will save her life. I can think of no better use for it." His voice was strong and calm, but his words hardened, fingers quivering as he gently touched the tiny silver fish before slipping the jar into the pouch once again and handing it to Rowan. Rowan put the pouch carefully into his own pocket. He wanted to say something that would comfort John, but he knew that anything he would say would sound false. He could not promise that he would succeed in his quest, and that he knew whatever troubles and dangers he was about to face, there would be nothing to the pain strong John would suffer, waiting here helplessly. "I will do my best, John," he murmured. "My very best." John placed a heavy hand upon his shoulder. "I know you will," he said, "and my thoughts and hopes go with you." Rowan turned away and walked to where the candidates stood waiting for him. "Are you not going to farewell your mother, chooser of Rin?" croaked the keeper, watching him through slitted eyes as he passed her chair. Rowan felt a surge of anger, and the anger gave him courage to say the words he had not been able to say to John. "No, I do not need to say farewell to my mother," he said loudly enough for all to hear. "She will be still here, and alive, when I return with the antidote." "We shall see," said the keeper. "We shall see." End of chapter 9. All right. Ooh, spicy drama. I love it. Oh my god. All right, guys, we got a little break here. What do we think of the recent chapter? Also, Acor, welcome in. I can also see Lazy Ember, you're in here as well. Sea God, good to see you. Welcome. Petfold, because your addiction, TTRPG, your heroin. Oh my god, yeah. You're not wrong. Coordinating my streak with my t-shirt. I am indeed. I'm definitely loving it. I really do like the red streak. I need to figure out a way to style it so that it's like a little bit more prominent when I'm doing stuff, because obviously it's in my ponytail, so yeah, looking really schmick. There it is. Boom. I do like it. It's so cool. It looks way better when I got my hair down. I'm also gonna straighten my hair as well, so that'll help style it. But yeah. Hey, thank you so much. Check it out. Boom. Love that. Yeah, I got it dyed today. Can we see with my hair down? Alright, sure. I don't mind. There you go. DAG with his hair down. I don't often have my hair down. It's because I don't like my wavy hair. But people like it. People say you got the waves. It kind of looks really cool. But yeah, there you go. That's me with my hair down. Looks really cool. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys. I wanted to have like a red streak in my hair for a while. But because I've got such black hair, I didn't necessarily know if it was gonna like take to the bleach, and I didn't want to risk it. But you know what? I was like, to hell with it. Let's do it. Let's make a thing. Aw, thank you. You guys are awesome. Yeah. Okay. Let me get that going. I'm probably gonna do a touch up in a couple of weeks, or maybe even over the holidays, maybe, and try to get a little bit more red over the top of it as well. My hair is straight, coming out with curlers, so I think your waves are enviable. I feel like that's such the case. Like, people with straight hair want curly hair. People with curly hair want straight hair. Yep, that's just it. weird. No, you're awesome, Ember. All right, so back to our spicy plot. I mean, obviously we kind of imagine like the candidates would have gone on this quest and stuff. That was a no-brainer. I think it's going to be really interesting. Given the format of this type of story, you know, like the stuff that happens with like the poem stuff, you know, like we watch as people slowly prove that they aren't as strong as they think they are. I think this is going to be the case as well, where we'll get to see the real side of these candidates as one by one an actual candidate is going to become more apparent. So I can't wait to see which of the candidates really stand out here. Because you've got Doss, who is quite stoic and like strong and stuff like that. You've got Seaborn, who's very curious and very much like trying to incite or to get more out of Rowan. You know, I feel like they're the friendly one. And then Asher, who's kind of like the aggressive, like kind of like your Raphael type character. So I think it's a good mix of different personalities, and it's going to be cool to see how they collide. I think it's a perfect way for Rowan to make a good choosing. Yeah, to get them to candidates. Exactly, yeah. And I think this was the bit, this trial, this quest, that always stuck in my mind as the, do you guys remember in Harry Potter, there was the Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire? Yeah, this kind of reminds me very much of the Goblet of Fire. Keep that in mind as we read this, and see if there are similarities. Let me know. Raphael. I like Raphael. Raphael was awesome. All right, let's go into the next chapter, shall we? Let's boot this out. Let's see, how far into this book are we? Here we go. Oh wow, that's not that much. We got like, how many more chapters? This final chapter is chapter 23. So we've got 13 chapters, so we'll probably finish it next week, maybe. So there you go. Which, if we're looking at the dates, it's Christmas. Will I do a stream on Christmas? Maybe I'll do a stream on Christmas. We'll find out. Christmas Eve. Yeah, we'll see. You know, if it's the last one, I'll do it. Why not? Don't remember the Goblet of Fire, except they put school children in unnecessary harm. Yeah, that's what I remember. Harry Potter and the Book of Adult Neglect. That was what it was called, right? Raphael was your favorite TMNT. I was a Donnie fan. I was always a Donnie fan. Everyone thought I would like Michelangelo, but I don't know why. I was always into Donnie. All right. Let us continue, shall we? Okay. Chapter 10, The Island. They walked through the tunnel to the island in silence and in single file. Rowan was leading. Asher, Doss, and Seaborn had all stood back respectfully, waiting for him to enter the dark and dripping passage first. Now they walked behind him, measuring their steps to his. Their soft shoes made no sound on the smooth, damp stone. Several times already, Rowan had looked back to make sure... Rowan had looked back, not sure whether they were still following. But they were always there, 3 paces behind their eyes watchful. They carried flaming torches to light their way. Shadows flickered eerily on the roof and walls of the rock. Water gleamed where it seeped through the cracks and trickled onto the floor. We are walking under the sea, Rowan kept thinking. The idea of that vast, moving weight of water right above their heads made him shiver. He turned his thoughts to the task ahead. In the cavern of the crystal, he had been so intent on forcing the keeper to open the way for him that he had not really had time to think. And since then, the strangeness of his journey under the sea had driven everything from his mind. He had not yet tried to guess what Orin's riddling list of ingredients might mean. He had not really considered the keeper's warning that he had no hope of obtaining these ingredients, even if he knew what they were. But now he thought both of these things. He wondered if the 3 Maris padding behind him were thinking of this too, or if they were worried about the crystal and the keeper and themselves, and the delay that they were all being forced to suffer, to think it all. He saw a dim light ahead. The tunnel was ending. He realized that he could hear the sound of the waves, too. A distant, dull crashing of water on the jagged rocks and cliffs of the island. At the end of the tunnel is a stair, Chooser of Rin. It was Asher, voice flat and cold. Rowan turned to look at her. Perhaps it would be better if you called me by my name, he said, trying to smile. She did not smile back. As you wish, she answered. Rowan turned back towards the light at the end of the tunnel. Asher, at least, was not trying hard to please him, he thought. She was not pretending to be anything other than she was. Perhaps that is what her trainers told her to do. A voice in his head seemed to tell him. Remember what Pelaine said? The candidates studied the ways of Rin, so they know how to please the chooser. Perhaps Asher's trainer told her that we of Rin despise pretense, so she plays games of seeming to be honest with me while she schemes in secrets. Who knows really what she's thinking? He shook his head to drive uncomfortable thoughts out. He wished he could trust these three people with him. It would be hard enough for him to do what he had to do without wondering all the time who was speaking the truth and who was lying, let alone who was a poisoner and who was innocent. At the end of the tunnel rose steep stone stairs. Thank you, alliteration, I love that. At the end of the tunnel rose steep stone stairs, just as Asher had said. Daylight glimmered at the top. Rowan began to climb. The sound of the waves became louder with every step he took. The light grew stronger, streaming down through the bars of what seemed to be a gate. He began to move faster, though by now he was panting. His legs were aching. Whatever dangers the island might hold for him, he was eager to breathe fresh air again and see the sky above his head. With relief, he climbed the last few stairs, pushed open the rusting iron gate, and stumbled through it. His legs were trembling after the climb. He stood, gasping, trying to catch his breath. He had been so long underground that the daylight seemed blinding. His dazzled eyes watered so much that he could hardly see. He blinked furiously, wiping them with the back of his hand. As sight slowly returned to normal, he saw what was standing on the island's rocky shore. In front of him was a thick forest hung with vines. He turned around to see Asher, Seaborn, and Doss following him out into the open. The iron gate clanged shut behind them, screening off the stairs that seemed to fall away into the darkness. Beyond, waves dashed themselves into the foam upon the rocks, and far away across the choppy waters stretched the golden sands and round buildings of Maris. Narrowing his eyes to the spray, Rowan searched the buildings, trying to pick out which one was Star's stable. He knew Star would wonder where he was when John came into his place to fill her water bowl. She would miss him and be unhappy. On the beach, children darted in and out of the water, uncaring of the wind chill. Here and there, men and women sat mending nets. A lone hooded figure, a woman dressed in the green of the Fisk clan, paced at the shore. For some reason, she looked familiar. It was something about the way she was walking, her arms folded beneath her cape, and the way her back was very straight. Of course, it was the stern Fisk woman who had been one of the guides to the Cavern of Crystal. Rowan became aware that someone was standing beside him and slowly turned his head. It was Seaborn. He didn't know he was being observed. His face was grave and his eyes were fixed on the beach. What are you looking at? The children? The buildings? The mending of the nets? Or was it the woman of Fisk he watched? The woman on the beach stopped, turned, and faced the sea. She stood motionless. Her green cape whipped around her in the wind, and a hood blew back from her face. She was looking at us, thought Rowan. He glanced again at Seaborn, who too was standing perfectly still, as though concentrating with all his strength. The salt spray beating against his face like rain. However, he did not turn away or narrow his eyes as Rowan had to. They do not move or wave or make any sign, thought Rowan. But still, she is sending him some sort of message from Fisk. Ooh, so creepy. If they cannot read each other's thoughts, then the message is how she stands, or even how she appeared on the bench. The The plots and plans of these people are never-ending. A fresh wave of anger rose in him, sticking in his throat. He felt as though he was choking with it. He must have made some small sound because Seaborn looked at him quickly, his face surprised and guilty. Does your clan already know that the choosing has been delayed? Rowan asked bluntly. Is that what her message is about? Whose message? There is no message, said Seaborn, turning away. But Rowan knew he was lying. It's nothing but lies in this place, he thought bitterly. Lies twisted in these people's minds, like the serpents that coil under the surface of the sea. Anger still boiled in him. He did not regret letting Seaborn know that he had not been fooled. I do not have to watch my words or pretend with these people, he thought. Whatever else I have to fear, I do not have to fear death at their hands. The Keeper has told them that there is no time to send for another chooser. None of the candidates would risk the loss of the crystal by killing me now. And yet, another thought suddenly rose and brushed against Rowan's minds, like a slimy thing in the dark. Yet time had always been very short. The Keeper had called for the choosing when it was already almost too late. The candidates had known that from the start. But Jilla had been poisoned. Delay in the choosing was dangerous for the Maris, yet delay had been caused. The thought grew large and stronger, and twisted itself into question. Why? Why would anyone with the fortunes of Maris at heart have done such a thing? What value would there be to a clan winning the choosing if the crystal was no more? Rowan turned to look at the candidates. Seaborn had crouched, pulling his shoe tightly around his foot. Or so he pretended. His face conveniently hidden. Asher and Doss stood apart from each other in the mist spray. A tall silver figure streaming back against the wind. A smaller figure in blue. Rowan remembered Pelane's words. The candidates study the way of Rin. Their trainers know how you will think. They have collected news of you since the day you were born. If these strangers know me truly, then they would guess that I would not have let my mother die without seeking help for her, thought Rowan. They could have guessed I would delay, choosing even further, just as I have done. His heart thudded. His thoughts filling his mind now, he could see it face to face, and it was ugly and terrifying. He had behaved just as someone expected he would. Had he been trapped into being part of someone else's plan? Someone wanting the choosing to fail? Someone wanting the crystal's power to fade? And they were using Rowan's help to do it. End of the chapter. Chapter 11, the beginning. Now, I have 20 minutes. I do want to keep going, but if there are any quick questions while I quickly have my drink, let me know. And if you have a theory, Creative Garden, let me know what that theory is. I kind of have a theory as well. But I want to hear yours first. That way you can see it's your theory and you didn't copy mine. Let me know. What if the Z-Back are behind the delays? They would be interested in risking the crystal. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's kind of maybe what I'm thinking, like, maybe one of the candidates is a Z-Back spy. Maybe the Fisk lady, maybe the woman who showed us around, maybe she's like a spy for the Z-Back. That was what I was thinking. Could be. All the susness. All the sus things this book, it brings. No, okay. Sorry, I apologize. What if the okay, cool. We're gonna go straight into the next chapter. Here we go. No breaks. We're gonna take a break, but yeah, you know, it's fine. Yeah, chicken. Throw some chickens today. That was good. Okay. The beginning. Beautiful first sentence here, because, you know, we're going straight into it. We have rested enough. We should not delay any... Pardon me. We have rested enough. We should delay no longer. It was Asher's voice, stern and cold. Rowan swallowed. He did not trust himself to speak. He pressed his hands together, trying to stop them from shaking. "What is the matter?" asked Seaborn sharply. "Are you ill?" Rowan felt, rather than saw, the candidates exchange quick, suspicious glances. "I'm not ill," he forced himself to say. He drew a shuddering breath and tried to calm his mind. He thought of Star, of John, of Anad, his sister, back home in Rin, of his mother, Jilla, lying in the cavern of the crystal. "Nothing has really changed," he said to himself. "Whoever is behind this wickedness, and whatever their reason, I must do what I came to do. I must follow Orin's directions. I must make the antidote to the death sleep quickly." In his pocket was the glass jar that John had given him, nestled in its soft leather pouch. He pulled the jar out and looked at it. A beautiful shining thing, but empty, waiting to be filled with what would save his mother's life. He held the jar in his hands and repeated Orin's verse in a low voice. "To mix the brew that wakes death sleep, fill one spread hand with silver deep. In hungry pool moons raise their head, pluck one and add the tears it sheds. Stir slowly with new fighter's quill, 3 times, no more, and let it still. Add venom from your greatest fear, 1 drop, and then the truth is clear." "These words make no sense," says Seaborn. "They are Orin's words," said Asha harshly. "They are secret words, not They are secret words, not intended to be understood by others. For thousands of years they have been hidden. It is wrong to go against Orin's will, so it has always been." Doss hesitated. "The first line is simple," he finally began. "But the second, silver deep." "The second is simple also," said Seaborn impatiently. "To begin the brew, we must take a handful of water from the deep, from the sea." Asha looked scornful. "The first 2 lines a child could understand," she said. "It is not they that are the problem." Rowan unscrewed the lid of the jar. His fingers shook. "Do not listen to their squabbling," he said to himself. "Think only of what you must do. Get the water, the first ingredient. Make a start." He moved away from the candidates and walked through the mist spraying towards the water's edge. "Wait, chooser of Rin!" he heard Asha call. Rowan kept walking. He was angry. "You want me to fail in this, Asha," he raged in her mind. "You have tried to discourage me, but you will not." He reached the rocks and began to clamber from one to the other, down towards the sea. It was then his anger died that he saw the danger. The waves flung themselves against the island, breaking into clouds of spray and sheets of hissing foam. His heavy shoes slipped on the wet, glass-smooth rocks. It was like walking on ice. As he edged closer to the water, a chill spray rained on his head and beat into his face, stinging his eyes and blinding him. His stomach lurched as a wave struck. His right foot slipped from under him. He cried out, struggling desperately to regain his balance before his streaming eyes were tilted crazily. Then 3 pairs of hands were catching at his arms, pulling him back and steadying him. He turned, gasping to see the faces of Seaborn, Asher, and Doss looking at him gravely. Rowan felt sick. He had so nearly fallen. His head would have struck the iron-hard rocks. The waves would have sucked him into the cold, churning sea. The candidates had all moved to save him. Could it be, then, that he had been wrong? That he did not have an enemy among them? Or was it just that it was not time for him to die yet? Did someone need him alive, and wasting precious moments till the Keeper finally slid away from the shores of life and the crystal dimmed forever? Rowan blinked at the 3 faces before him and wiped his eyes. "Thank you," he said dully. Seaborn smiled. "Your shoes are not made for rock walking, Rowan." "I told you to wait," said Asher severely. "You must let us swim in the dangerous waters if they are to be swum at all." "I asked you to help me," Rowan mumbled. but I do not expect you to risk your lives. Asher's lips made a straight, hard line. The death of one of us is of no account, she said. But if you are lost, the whole of Maris is lost also. Seaborn nodded. Give me the jar. I will fetch the water, she said. Or he said. We should waste no more time. Doss opened his mouth as if to say something, then seemed to change his mind. His eyes, so strangely dreamy for a Maris, slid from Rowan's face to the boiling sea. What is it? Rowan asked him. I don't believe this water fits the first words of the rhyme, said Doss. I think we must look in another place. The others stared. The sea is the deep, and all shines silver in the sun. Doss shook his head. The words silver deep are still quiet and full of mystery, he said. But in this place the sea is wild. It fights the land, it churns itself into foam. I don't think Orin would have called it the silver deep. And who are you to know the mind of Orin? Snapped Asher. Doss looked at the ground and did not answer. Rowan bit his lip. Slowly he screwed the silver top back on the jar. Now he thought about it. He could see that Doss was right. He felt sick at his own disgust. He felt sick with disgust at his own foolishness. He had let anger and fear drive him. He had forgotten how cunning these Maris folk were, and the great Orin more than any. He had been desperate and far too willing to believe Orin's first ingredient would be so simple to find. He had been so unthinking, indeed, that he had nearly lost his life by rushing to collect something which would have proved useless. I must be more careful, he thought. I must panic no more. I must be as cold as these Maris if I am to outwit them. He took a deep breath. Where do you think the Silver Deep is, Doss? He asked quietly. I do not know, murmured Doss. But it must be here, or at least on one of these islands, because it is here which Orin had made his brew. We will search then. Search until we find it. Rowan stuffed the jar back in his pocket. He looked around him, the rocky shores, the crashing waves, tufts grass and wild tangled forest. But where should they begin? He repeated the question aloud. Where should we begin? Seaborn's voice rose above the sound of the waves. The island is like unknown waters to us, he said. None but the keeper may visit here, except at the time of the choosing. But often I have sailed around it, and on the other side, the side you cannot see from Maris, there is a quiet sandy bay and sheltered places. Perhaps there. Rowan considered this and nodded. We will try there then. We will go around the shore. It will not take long. Better than to try and break through the forest. If we are to go to the other side of the island, we will be hidden from the Maris, muttered Asher. And the crystal is too dim for the creeper's mind to follow us. If any danger were to befall us on the secret side, there would be no help. Well, we would have to depend on each other for help, said Rowan. As the words left his lips, he saw the three candidates again and exchanged suspicious looks, frowned and touched the knives at their belts. Despair settled over him. There was little chance the candidates of Fisk, Pendalis, and Umbre would depend on one another. For them, this time, no enemy was more dangerous than ones of their own kind. He began to pick his way along the shore, keeping close to the trees and as far away from the treacherous rocks as possible. Asher's words came back to him. Whatever happened on the other side of the island could not be seen from Maris. He would be quite unprotected. There would be nothing to stop one of the three candidates from killing him. Whoever it was could kill the others too, and return to the keeper with the story that all had fallen by accident into the sea. Was this journey part of someone's plan? End of chapter 11. Alright. Well, we're going to continue, but first of all, guys, Welcome in to the Paladin's Archive. Nice to see you. Aren't you streaming, you bloody lunatics? I'm sure you are, because you have a 600. You've got like what, a 600-hour marathon you guys have been doing for the last few week. Guys, if you haven't checked out, Paladin's Archive doing a great charity at the moment. 600-hour stream among a myriad of incredibly talented and wonderful performers over on their channel. Click on their name and go and give them a follow. Go check them out. I hung out there a couple of times this week. It's been an absolute blast. Lots of good fun. Lots of good laughs. How is your marathon going? Are you guys doing well? Have we had any deaths? Let me know all the things. For those of you who don't know, if you are from this group as well, my name is Mario, DAG Gamer. I do D&D streams as well as just chill hangout streams and stuff. So this is one of my hangout streams where we're reading books and we're just talking stuff. So yeah, there you go. I highlighted this mess for no reason. Very well, Sparky. Very well. Hey JMT, what's up? Welcome in. Wow, that's quite a marathon. Yeah, no, it was. I was very impressed with it. So for those of you who don't know, yeah, the 600-hour marathon was like, when I first heard it, I thought, no way, no freaking way. Let me give you a quick shout out here. Paladins Archives. Boom, there it is. Yeah, so yeah, when I heard about the 600-hour marathon, I was kind of like, wow. Well, I mean, I've done an 86-hour marathon for the Guinness World Record, and that was a struggle. That was an absolute struggle. And I'm absolutely looking forward to doing another attempt at some point or another to crack that record and to actually get the paperwork done properly. But 600 hours, I was really concerned, and then I found out it was like, oh, they're like, doing a whole bunch of guys that are going to be going for this record, which I think is just amazing. It's such a cool thing for a great cause as well. And yeah, they've been doing the stream for like ages now, and it's amazing. Yeah, so awesome. But yeah, cool. Any questions about the latest chapter? Talk about D&D, etc. Let me know. Again, these between chapter bits are like the points that we break to chat and stuff. Yeah, I think it's really good that we. I mean, here's the thing: a lot of stories we don't tend to like look at like stupid mistakes, right? Like the idea of like Rowan nearly falling to his death on the rocks and stuff. That for me is like I love that. That builds such a genuine element to Rowan. Rowan is not a hero. He's not a warrior. He's not a smart person. But like the fact that he nearly died just simply slipping, goes to really build up that character idea of like how he is a vulnerable character and he does need the help of the others, or he will die because he lacks experience, he lacks strength, he lacks wit and guile, like he's just a kid. That's crazy. Acor, I'm late to the book. What does the crystal do? So, the crystal is the crystal of the Maris people. It is a collection of their history and their knowledge that is passed down from one keeper to the other. Each of these keepers keep the peace of the tribes of the Maris, and in doing so allows the coast of this land to be protected from the Zebak, who are kind of like these tyrannical, enslaving kind of people that live just off the shore. Every time this keeper is about to die, the crystal starts to dim, and its power, which includes other things like controlling the ocean and telepathy and memory recovery and stuff like that. Whenever the keeper starts to die, the crystal dims, and if the keeper dies before a new keeper is assigned, the crystal will fade forever, and the shores become vulnerable yet again. And so every generation that the keeper changes, a person from Rin, a member of Rowan's family, is chosen to come to Maris in order to decide who the next keeper will be. This was a tradition that passed down from generations before because there used to be a fourth tribe of the Maris, but that tribe was wiped out by the Zebak. And because they were wiped out, no one was left to choose the new keeper. And so that responsibility fell to one of Rowan's ancestors, and that duty has been passed on pretty much ever since. So that's kind of what the crystal is and what relationship it has with Rowan at the moment. What if the keeper wanted to prevent the choosing because they have a secret the crystal saved and they don't want anyone to find out? Oh, yeah, like maybe like the crystal has no power. That could be kind of a big secret. Like you get there and you're like, the crystal has no power. That'd be mental. Like, you know, because like what would you do? You'd go mad. It's all a bluff. Like it's a huge bluff to the Z-Back to keep them away. Yes, we can control the ocean now. That's our power. We have it, behold, but it's only a shiny rock. Oh, that's terrifying. I hate that idea. I love the idea, but I hate it. All right. Whew. Let us continue. Actually, let me just do. All right. Hey, Lifeguard Leroy. Yo, welcome in. Hope you're doing well. If you have any questions about, because we're reading a book. We're reading a book. If you have any questions, let me know in chat. We will answer them as we continue onwards. If you got questions about D&D or TTRPGs, let me know as well, because I like talking about TTRPGs because it's a lot of fun. If you feel like donating to the stream, feel free to, because that's also cool. It's a DAG! I was told that you were showing off your hair earlier and you missed it. Ah, fine. All right, only because of you, Callie. So today, I got my hair done. There we go. Boom. Bright red hair. So now I've got a big old red streak in my hair. Look at that. So that is my new flare. Which I like. You approve? Excellent. I'm glad. Then all is well with the world of DAG. But I need to figure out how I want to style it. It's such a good red too. I really like it. I really, really do. Yeah. Okay. You can't see it very well, like when it's just on, but like, yeah, it's there. It's there. Bright red. Okay. I think we got time for one more chapter. What do you reckon? Cheeky chapter. I mean, we should be ending the stream now, but you know what? You know what? I'll give you 2 chapters. We're gonna go back to back. We're gonna just smash that out. The reason I'm gonna do 2 chapters is because I want to know what's happening. So there we go. Here we go. But yes, also, any questions for those people who aren't up to date with where we are in the book, please ask as we go. The basic synopsis is Rowan, our main character's mother, has been poisoned. Rowan is on an island trying to make a very impossible cure using a puzzle. He is accompanied by 3 people who are amphibious kind of humans who require him to choose one of them to be the next leader of the village. However, he refuses to do so because he is convinced that one of them has poisoned his mother and is forcing them all to help him create the antidote and won't make a decision until then. But there's lots of repercussions for not doing so. But yeah, any questions? Ask. All right. Chapter 12, Out of Sight. Rowan felt lonely and afraid. If only I could talk to someone I know, I can trust, he thought. He glanced behind him. The candidates were following in single file. Asher, her silver cape reflecting in the trees, and the sea in her turn, was the first, gliding very close to him. Rowan suddenly realized why she seemed so familiar. Despite her strange look and clothes, Asher reminded him of Jilla, his mother. She seemed strictly, honest, stern, straightforward, determined to do what was right, whatever the cost. He faced forward again and moved on. They were rounding the island now, and soon the Maris shores would be lost from sight. His thoughts ran on. Yes. Yeah, Asher reminded him of his mother. Despite his anger and at the lack of encouragement, it made him want to trust her. He remembered that Asher was the one who sounded the warning about the island's secret side. But she knew I would not hesitate because of that, he thought. Knew, perhaps, that it would make all the more... Knew, perhaps, that it would make me all the more determined. Their trainers know how you think. I must not forget that, Rowan told himself. I must never forget. He then turned his thoughts to Seaborn, who was striding behind Asher, tall and in solid green. Seaborn was energetic, confident and strong. A man who could be depended on. He reminded Rowan of John, Strong John, who had so often helped him and stood beside him in times of danger. It was Seaborn who suggested going to the secret side of the island. He had seemed to suggest it only because he was eager to help, keen for action, as John would have been. But was he? Or was he simply carrying out the next step in a plot? Rowan shook his head. He could not be sure of Seaborn either. Hey, thank you so much, Seagar. Hope this is more than 2 chapters left. Continuing joys. Yes, Gouliard, there are way more chapters. We still won't finish until next week, but you know, we'll get there. And lastly, Doss. Doss was the last in line. He was so much smaller than the others that all Rowan had been able to see of him was a flickering blue shape appearing briefly and then disappearing behind Seaborn's green. Doss was quiet and dreamy, and more uncertain than the others. Did Doss remind Rowan of anyone? Yes, of course he did. Doss was like Rowan himself. Surely then he was the one to trust. Yet it was Doss who had raised doubts about the Silver Deep. It was his seemingly hesitant words that had led finally to his journey. Though Doss himself had not suggested it, was Doss in fact the cleverest and most dangerous of all? Rowan's mind spun. Nothing was certain. He was drifting helplessly in a swirling tide of questions and confusion. He slid his hand into his pocket and gripped the silver-topped jar, drawing comfort from its solid hardness. I can trust no one. None of them, he thought. I can only trust myself. He suddenly became aware that he was walking on sand instead of rock. He looked up and discovered that while he had been thinking, he had rounded the island's curve without noticing. As Seaborn had said, the other side of the island was was a sheltered bay. The trees beside him were no longer a solid mass. Instead, dim ferny trails wound away into the forest depths. He could see a grassy clearing through the vines and trunks. Gentler waves broke and foamed on this softer curving shore, and at the end of the beach, a high, jagged cliff rose from the sea like a barrier. Around it, 2 large birds swooped and called harshly. They were the only signs of life. Beyond the waves, as far as the eye could see, there was nothing but sea and sky. Now, thought Rowan, I am truly alone. He forced his mind away from his fear. Silver Deep. Rowan looked along the lines of water rolling onto the shore. They were smaller than the waves on the other side of the island, certainly, but they still did not seem to match the words. He felt a prickling at the back of his neck and spun around to see Asher, Seaborn, and Doss standing close behind him. They had caught up to him and were waiting. How long had they been there? He could not say. They moved so silently. I must tell them what we're going to do next, thought Rowan. And again, despair swept over him. I'm not a leader, he thought. I don't know where to turn next. I'm a stranger here. I'm afraid. I've insisted on doing this thing, and now I don't know where to go or what to do. He looked again at the 3 candidates, and slowly he realized that they seemed different. Just a couple of hours ago, he would not have seen it, but since then, he had become used to seeing Maris faces. They had stopped looking alike to him. He had started to notice expressions and changes in mood as he spoke. Now he saw Asher, Seaborn, and Doss were afraid. Their eyes were wary. They were standing stiffly, holding themselves ready for danger. Their hands hovered close to the knives on their belt. On this side of the island there is as much strangers as I am, he thought. They have not studied this place. They cannot see their home. They have never set foot on this sand before. They do not know what they will find here. For some reason, this thought helped him. I think we should start by walking along the sand, he said aloud. Look left and right for anything that fits the words. The sea is deep, said Asher behind him. We will not find it among the trees, Chooser of Rin. Deep has more than one meaning, said Doss in a low voice. The rhyme does not say the Silver Deep, but only Silver Deep. What difference does that make? The woman retorted. It is clear what Orin meant. Seaborn laughed. And who are you, Asher of Ombre, to know the mind of Orin? These are the words that Asher had spat out not too long ago as well. Watch your tongue, Fisk. Watch your own, said Seaborn. Rowan said nothing. He felt like shouting at them. He felt like begging them to work together, to help him, but he knew it would be of no use. He trudged along, knowing that they would follow. The sand squeaked under his shoes. As he walked, he looked from the sea to the forest and back again. His heart sank as the minutes passed. Nothing. He could see nothing. Not too far ahead, the sand ended. The foot-high rocky cliffs stretched out across the beach and jutted far out into the sea. Once they reached that, they could go no further. The only place left to search would be the forest itself. And though the island was small, with no clues to guide them, such a search could take days. If only they knew what they were looking for, Rowan thought desperately. He passed yet another gap in the trees and peered into it, and saw waving plumes of tall, spiky grass and moved on. One of the birds he had heard before screeched from the forest depths. He glanced towards the sound, and then began to turn his head back towards the sea. He saw something. Just a flash. A glimpse from the corner of his eye. He stopped dead and took a pace back. He peered through the trees. Yes! There it was again! Somewhere in the green depths, there was this glint of silver. Like still, secret water, touched briefly by the sun. I think there's something in there, he said, pointing. He tried to speak calmly, but his heart was thudding with excitement. Somehow he knew without a doubt that he had found Orin's Silver Deep. Next chapter. All right. This is so exciting. Okay. We're going to go straight into it. Whew. They pushed through the tall grass and crept cautiously into the forest. For a moment they hesitated, wandering in silence. The trees rose high on either side of them. Leafy branches, locked together, made a roof over their heads and blocked out the sun. And now they were beyond the tall grass. They could see all they were standing on was a wide path that wound deep into the forest. Rowan saw Doss shiver as he looked around. Who made this? Seaborn wondered aloud. For it was certain the path had not come about by chance. It was flat and wide enough for the four of them to walk easily side by side. It was edged by the high banks of earth that had been pushed aside and then completely overgrown by the bushes, moss, and fern. It must be the keeper, said Asher, for only the keeper is permitted on the island. But clearly this path has not been used for quite some time. She pointed at the thick layers of rotting leaves that covered the trail, and the cluster of ferns left uncurled and tended fronds here and there. Rowan nodded. At least a year, he says, if these plants grow as they do in Rin. Nevertheless, Seaborn said grimly, we should be on the watch for danger. They moved forward, their feet sinking into the brown leafy carpet. Fat grey moths fluttered blindingly into their paths, brushing their wings brushing their faces with their soft wings. Rowan strained his eyes in the dimness, searching for a way ahead, for another glint of silver. Through the trees he saw a flash of brighter green, and heard again the fierce squawking of one of the birds he had seen swooping near the cliffs. It doesn't sound too friendly, he thought. An idea stirred in his mind, but immediately the excitement was swept aside, for suddenly, just ahead while the bird was calling and dying as it left further away, the silver he was seeking gleamed yet again. There! He gasped as he began to run. He could hear Asher, Seaborn, and Doss hurrying behind him. For once they were having trouble like he was. Their light shoes sank into the softness of the path and slowed them down. The smell of damp earth rose from the leaves as they were being trampled beneath their feet. It mixed with the other scents of the forest. Fresh leaves, bruised ferns, mold, and something else. Rowan's nose twitched as he tried to make out what the something else was. It was a heavy, sweet perfume. Some forest flower, perhaps, but none like any he had ever smelt in Rin, and was growing stronger. The path curved slightly, and then opened out into what seemed to be a natural clearing, ringed by leaves. Leaves and grass covered in earth around the edges of this clearing, but in the center rose a smooth, bare, brown rock, folded and curved like a huge huddled animal sleeping. The sky made a pale circle overhead, lighting this clearing. The rough cliff towered grey above the treetops on one side. There was no wind, no noise, just the distant sounds of the sea. It was still, a secret place. On the rock, puddles of water gleamed. There must be a pool up there, Rowan whispered. A spring fed from a stream underneath the rock. There was no reason to whisper, but Rowan's skin was prickling. He sensed danger. Perhaps it was the light, after all the dimness in the forest. Perhaps it was the strange, sweet smell that suddenly was all around him. Or perhaps the sheer silence of this place and the strangeness of it. Asher, Seaborn, and Doss too seemed to have been struck dumb. Rowan only knew that they were behind him because he could hear them breathing. He stepped onto the rocks. They followed as he slowly climbed atop. And there, just as he had hoped, was a deep pool of crystal clear water, cupped into the rock, almost perfectly round and so small that two people could touch hands across it. Far below the surface, silver gleamed. The bottom of the pool was covered in some sort of shining mud or sand, but this was not what made Rowan gasp, and his heart was filled with hope. There was something else underneath the clear, rippling surface, something round, white, and shining through the water, like a full moon floating in the sky. It was a flower. Its face turned to the sky, its petals fanned out to make a perfect circle. Rowan could smell its perfume rising from beneath the water. Its heavy, sweet scent. He had noticed it before. In hungry pool, moon raised their heads. The flower cannot grow underwater. Exclaimed, try that again. Flowers cannot grow underwater, exclaimed Asher, shocked out of her silence. She sounded almost angry, because the laws that she had thought to be fixed had been overturned. For Asher, flowers grew in the air and the sun. That is how it was and has always been, and how it must always be. But Seaborn's face was alive with curiosity and excitement. Well, this one does, he said. And it's the second ingredient. We have found two in one place. Quickly, Rowan, the water, and then the flower. Rowan pulled up the glass jar from his pocket and unscrewed the lid. Filled one spread hand with silver deep. He spread his hands and bent to the water, looked at his fingers, then hesitated. Wait, breathed Doss, touching his arm. Remember. Rowan barely heard him. Let me try that again. Rowan barely heard him. He was staring, fascinated at the water. For suddenly the moonflower was disappearing from sight. The pool was no longer clear. It was turning silver as he watched. He turned to Seaborn to tell him, and in that instant he saw the man's face change. He felt himself being roughly pulled to the ground. "Beware!" yelled Seaborn. A terrible piercing cry split the air. Great wings beat above their heads. There was a splash. Water flowed out from the rock, and there was a huge green bird was suddenly flying away, soaring back to the cliff top. Several small wriggling fish clutched in its jaw. Rowan had never seen such a bird. It was as big as he was. Seaborn snorted and shaken with laughter. "I thought it was attacking us, but it was only intent on filling its belly. And the belly of its young. No wonder Odin called this the hungry pool." Doss began to speak, but his voice was drowned out by Asher. She had scrambled to her feet, and she was pointing fearfully at the pool. "That light!" she called. "What is it?" Rowan crawled back to the edge of the pool. The perfume of the flower was very strong, and the water looked like melted silver. Silver as Asher's cloak. Silver as sunlight striking water. Silver as a fish. He could hardly look at it. It was so bright it was flashing as the sun. In an instant he realized what had happened. The fish, diving for safety from the bird, had stirred up the shining sand at the bottom of the pool. Fill one spread hand with silver deep. "Seaborn!" he yelled. "Quickly, before the silver sinks again, take a handful of the water." Seaborn hesitated, puzzled. "My hand will not do," shouted Rowan. "I realized it just before the bird struck. Spread my hand is useless. The rhyme means a Maris hand with webbed fingers like Odin." Seaborn nodded and sprang to Rowan's side. "No!" cried Doss, but Seaborn had already scooped his spread hands through the water. He began to lift it out again, and Rowan readied the jar to collect the water. Then suddenly, Seaborn screamed in agony. He jerked his hand into the air. Silver liquid brimmed from the wide cup made by his spread fingers, but the whole back of his hands, his wrists, were covered by dozens of wriggling fish. Even out of the water, they were still biting into his flesh, then dropped back into the pool, covered in pale Maris blood. Asher shrieked in disgust and horror. "The hungry pool," murmured Doss. "Rowan! The jar!" shouted Seaborn, stuttering with pain. "Oh, quickly, for Odin's sake, they're eating me alive!" Rowan wordlessly thrust the container towards him, and with his free hand, Seaborn gripped his injured wrist, steadying it and tipping the precious silver liquid into the jar. Fish still falling from his flesh, his blood was dripping freely into the pool beneath, and the pool was swarming, seething as fish feasted. Groaning, Seaborn staggered back. He plucked the last of the squirming creatures from his hands and threw it to the rock. He swayed, his face pale as the underbelly of a fish. Rowan ran to his side to help him sit, and then to lie back down on the ground. Gently he turned over his small webbed hand, only to see then the full horror of the injuries revealed. The fish had truly been trying to strip the flesh from Seaborn's bones. The wounds were terrible. In my supplies," gasped Seaborn. "Healing cream and bandages." Asher and Doss came closer as Rowan pulled the jar of sticky brown ointment and rolls of soft silky bandages from a pouch sewn into Seaborn's cape. "I will help you," said Asher, reaching for the bandages. "No!" cried Seaborn, feebly clutching at his good hand with Rowan's jacket. "Rowan, do not let them touch me. Do not let them near my supplies." Asher drew back. "I would not try to harm you, man of the Fisk," she frowned. "It is forbidden, and in any case there is no need. You have done more than enough harm to yourself without me doing more." Rowan began to smear the brown ointment on the back of Seaborn's hand. He was gentle as he could be, but Seaborn closed his eyes, his face twisted in pain. If Seaborn is injured, then it is my fault. The pool was rippling, yet there was no wind. I took no more note of that. Even when I saw the bird take the fish from the water, I did not think of the danger. I did not heed Odin's rhyme. He looked up at Doss. But you did. You tried to tell me, and I wish that I had listened to you. I wish that I had spoken more... Sorry. I wish I had spoken more firmly, said Doss. But I was not certain. It was only an idea. He gazed thoughtfully down at Seaborn's white face. Now the crisis had passed. Doss was calm. He had not seemed particularly upset by Seaborn's distress. Even for a Maris, he was strangely unmoved. Rowan wondered about this as he bent the bandages down to the groans of the quivering hand. Was Doss secretly glad that Seaborn had been injured? Had he deliberately held his tongue until the warning was too late? Or was it just that Doss had seen so much pain and death in his life, he was no longer moved by it? There is so much about these people I do not know, thought Rowan. When it comes to the choosing, how will I decide which of these candidates will best rule Maris? He tried to turn his mind away from the question. The more important thing now was the cure for Jilla. That came first. One of the ingredients for the antidote had been found. Now the second must be added. In the hungry pool moon raise their heads. Pluck one and add the tear it sheds. A few minutes ago the task had seemed easy. Plunge an arm into the crystal clear water. Pick the flower glowing deep within it. But now, who would risk such a thing? No one. And that is where we'll end today's reading. All right. Sweet as. That was metal. That was pretty dope. That was, wow. One ingredient down, but at what cost? Whew. Cliffhanger. Yes, Acor. Yes, indeed. Bruh. Yep. So good. Oh, it is so good. It's such a like I said, this is one of my favorite books from the series that I've read, right? And I think it does hold up. I think I'm really, not only am I really enjoying it, I'm really invested in each of these candidates. I think they're so interesting and so captivating. I honestly can't wait to find out more. We will be finishing the book next week. And then we'll be going on a short break, and then we will be back for the last 2 books. But that'll be in the new year, so we'll see how we go. Thank you so much, DAG. I was glued to the screen. Normally I thought about doing cleaning and stuff. You're kind. Thank you so much, Hester. I really appreciate that. And Dazzle, thank you so much for the sub. You bloody legend. What is this series? This is a book called The Rowan of Rin. It's a rather old young adult book that I read when I was in high school, and this was actually one of the first fantasy books I ever read. The thing about like RPGs, like D&D and stuff like that, is we are inspired by our stories and the things we love, and this story was one of the first things that made me really fall in love with a lot of fantasy genre stuff. So I hadn't read it in like years, and I saw this in a bookshop, and so we fundraised it, and we had enough to actually buy the book. So there are 5 books in the series. We have read Rowan of Rin, which was the first one, Rowan and the Travelers, which was the second one, and we are currently working our way through the 3rd book, Rowan and the Keeper of the Crystal. There's 2 more after this, Rowan and the Zebak and Rowan of the Bookshah, which I cannot wait to read those ones because I haven't actually read them at all. So this was the book we're reading now was the last book I read from that series. Wait, 18 months. That's our 2nd Twitch baby. 2nd Twitch baby. Hells yeah. Look at that. Freaking 18 months, man. That's so good. Thank you so much, Daz. You know what? I love having so many like amazing and wonderful people like join us for these sorts of games, man. It's wonderful. If Rowan learns anything from all this, it should be that choosers need to spend as much time learning about the Maris and the Keeper candidates spend learning about the choosers. That's true. That is very true. I mean, Rowan didn't really get to know that much about what was happening with the Keepers in that. So yeah, maybe that is something that needs to be a thing. Because how are you to decide? How do you decide that when you are chosen to pick the leader of another group of people, right? Like even if it was just a small town on the coast, right? That's such a huge responsibility. So yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think it's an important element to include in the game and be like, you know, like, hey, you guys are responsible for this. Here's the list of the candidates. Here is what to expect from them. Yada yada yada. I think. Yeah. No, I think you're onto something there. All right, late is the hour, so we are going to bid you farewell. But before we do, we have a promotion to make. Tomorrow morning, ladies and gentlemen, or evening, depending on where you are. Tomorrow morning for me, tomorrow evening, tonight for you guys, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are back with Dragon Kitchen, our D&D 5th edition cooking contest. We are doing a Christmas special. It is going to be a lot of fun. We have none other than the incredible Becca Godzi from our dear friends over at D20 Deathmatch, also Caustic Phoenix. She is going to be going toe-to-toe with none other than Duke from One Shot Questers, which is going to be absolutely amazing. It is going to be baller. So be there, be square. You know, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be so much fun. As you guys know, Dragon Kitchen was, we did a chaotic Dragon Kitchen with 3 teams of 2 going toe-to-toe with each other, and we had 3 judges. This one's going to be a lot more easier, I think, and more importantly, you guys are going to be the judges. So the audience is going to be the judges as to who is going to take the win, who is going to take the loss. So there you go. We're going to see what's going to happen. All right. So thank you very much for joining us. We're going to go and raid the Paladins Archive. Now, Paladins Archive joined us a little bit earlier on, and as I mentioned before, they're currently doing a 600-hour freaking marathon. So we're gonna go share some love there, go hang out for a little bit. So do send all of the emotes that you guys have, throw in all the love hearts, you know, share, you know, because that's the thing, is we love lifting people up, and you know, these guys have been at it for so long. Let's just, you know, like, be cool. Let's make new friends. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope that you stay safe. Hope that you stay wonderful. If we don't catch you before the Christmas period, have a safe and wonderful Christmas and or Hanukkah or however you celebrate this season. Till we meet again, as always, from me to you. Game hard or die trying. Good night, folks.